Boulevard. I'm Jake.
And I'm Riani.
And boy, do we have a show for you today.
Today will be our first time hearing sports updates from Nick and Jake, as well as why Kansas City made world news this week from Maddie and Emma.
Our weather girl, Olivia, will keep up to date on this blistering heat we seem to be experiencing here on campus. And we'll finish off with a few can't-miss events happening around Lawrence this weekend.
All of this and more after the break, so be sure to stay tuned.
Where you go to college makes a statement about you. This place will become a part of you, your identity for life. The University of Kansas, a great place to be you.
Good afternoon, I'm Emma.
And I'm Maddie.
And welcome back. Here's your news for the week.
The future of KU football is looking bright. While it may not help us win any games, Memorial Stadium will soon undergo a $300 million renovation. This will be a major update to a stadium that first opened its doors in 1921. Although architect plans were set to be revealed this September, it is now looking like we'll be waiting until October. Either way, I'm sure it will be worth the wait.
A second Kansas teen has announced his plans to run for governor next year. 17-year-old Tyler Ruzick, a junior at Shawnee Mission North, filed campaign papers with the state this week and is eager to start his political career early. Ruzick considers himself a moderate Republican fit to serve our state, according to the Hutchinson News. He's also the second teen in Kansas to run for office, after 16-year-old Jack Bergeson of Wichita. Bergeson will be running as his opponent as the Democratic nomination. The state of Kansas has no age restriction for running for governor, and many even look at these two teens in the race as an opportunity to get young people more involved and interested in politics and the government.
The aftermath of the destruction brought on by Hurricanes Irma and Maria is no less than devastating for the islands in the Caribbean. On the island of Dominica, there have been 15 reported deaths and 20 people still missing. The island of Puerto Rico has been deemed a major disaster zone by the White House, leaving other smaller islands waiting to be hit feeling helpless. Our only question now is, how do we solve a problem like Maria?
Kansas City has managed to make world news this week, but not for a good reason. The body of a man whose officials believe committed suicide was found last week at the KCI airport parking lot after 8 months of having sat in the vehicle unmoved and unnoticed. After complaints of a foul smell coming from a vehicle in the parking lot, airport officials investigated the scene and found 53-year-old Randy Potter's body under a blanket decaying in a pickup truck. His family is left in shock, and everyone cannot seem to understand why he was not noticed sooner. His parking pass is dated back to January 17th, the day he was reported missing, and his truck was even listed in the missing persons flyers circulating around the KC metro area. Although there is no limit to how long cars can be parked in the airport, the investigation has been turned to private parking firm SP Plus and out of the hands of the KCI officials.
That's all the news we have for this week. Stay tuned after the break to hear sports from Nick and Jake.
Some say e-cigarettes aren't dangerous,
but science shows nicotine can harm teens' developing brains.
no matter how they're exposed.
Let's do an experiment to find out.
Here's a teen who won't be using e-cigarettes.
Now we need one willing to risk their brain development.
Care to volunteer your kid?
Welcome back to Off the Boulevard. My name is Olivia Jones and I am your weather forecaster for this afternoon. Right now it is 85 degrees up here on the hill and it's really sunny. It's the first day of fall, so I'm excited about it, but it doesn't really feel like fall for us. And you can see on our hourly temperature here how we had a quick warm up to today at 90 degrees at 2 p.m., but we'll have a slow cool down and we will hit 84 degrees as we hit 7 o'clock later on tonight. And for our almanac for us, you can see that our projected high today is 90 degrees and our Average temperature for today is 76 degrees, so we're 15 degrees warmer than what we're normally at for right now. The record is 100 degrees, so I'm just happy that we're not at the record like how we were in 1937. Tomorrow is game day for us Jayhawks as KU football plays at Memorial Stadium tomorrow. It'll be a lot like today at 90 degrees and really humid at 64%. Okay, and now as we go into the early week next week, we're expected to get some isolated thunderstorms on Monday and Tuesday with a 50 to 60% chance. And we are expected to have a cold front move in late Monday night and early Tuesday morning. So by the time we hit Tuesday, it's going to be 74 for our high. The clouds will move out and it'll be great fall weather for us the rest of the week. Thank you, and we'll be right back.
Welcome back. Here is Student Rights Committee Chair for the Student Senate, Martin Doherty. Yesterday there was a Student Rights on College Campuses event here at KU. But first, Martin's going to tell us a little more about himself and then tell us about the event. Thank you so much for joining us today, Martin.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, so how did you get started with this program and politics in general?
Well, politics in general, I think really started paying attention when I was about 10 years old when President Obama was elected. And then just kind of from there, my parents were always like kind of political, and so I just got more into it and started taking government classes in high school. And then I ended up working on a Senate campaign and just kind of went from there. So I major in econ and poli-sci now. So as far as Student Senate, I just kind of got involved with the Student Rights Committee last year and joined as a non-senator. And then I was encouraged to run for their associate senator position, and so I did that and got elected somehow, and then just kind of went from there.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So tell us a little more about the Students' Right Committee and your role that you play with it.
Sure. So at the end of the year, I was elected chair, and now I'm kind of there to make sure that procedurally everything goes well. We follow Robert's Rules of Order, which is just kind of like parliamentary procedure. And what we really deal with is like student rights in general, but specifically pertaining to the Code of Student Rights and Responsibilities. And so with that, this year actually we get to revise that code, and that's like a public subcommittee that every student can join if they choose to, and then they can make amendments and revisions to the code. And so it's a really involved process, and it's really sort of democratic, and especially for the students to be involved in. Yeah.
So tell us a little more about the event that was held here yesterday at KU.
The event last night was a panel on student rights on campus, and specifically on free speech on campus. I know it's a really hot debate, and so it was kind of funny. It was me and then some like really important like administrative people. You had the Vice Provost, Dr. Durham. You had David Farber, who's a distinguished history professor, and you had Bill Larzalier, who's the chief litigation attorney for legal services for students. And then you just had this like college sophomore who's 19. But it was it went really well, and there were a lot of questions that all of us had trouble answering, because it's a very there are many sides to the issue, and so it's very complex, and you can't really you can't take a firm stance, and you can't make like blanket statements, because everything is different and it goes case by case. But it went really well, and it was a really good discussion. Well,
that's good to hear. So how else can students here at KU get involved more with the Student Rights Committee?
We meet every other Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. in the English room of the Student Union that's on the 6th floor. And it's free. Any student can join. And when you attend 2 consecutive meetings, you will then get voting rights, and you'll always have speaking rights. And it's really cool, because a bill to sort of become student policy has to go through 2 of the 4 committees and then go through full Senate. And so you have a lot of power, even if you're not an elected student senator. Anybody can join the committees. And yeah, you just come and show up, and once you get your voting rights, you have a lot of sway on campus.
Well, that's a really good opportunity for students here.
Yeah.
So is there anything else you'd like to share with us today?
No, I think we pretty much covered it all.
All right, well, thank you for joining us.
Thanks so much for
We'll
having
be
me.
back soon.
Where you go to college makes a statement about you. This place will become a part of you, your identity for life. The University of Kansas, a great place to be you.
Hi, and welcome back to Off the Boulevard. I'm Nick Serum.
And I'm Jake Kaufman, and we'll be giving you your sports today.
The Jayhawks finished up their non-conference play last week with a 42-30 loss to Ohio, putting their record to 1-2 on the season. This week, KU looks to get back on track against the Big 12 foe, West Virginia, who's coming off a 59-16 win over Dell State. Jake, what are your keys that you're looking for in the game?
Well, Nick, I'm looking at the defense this week. Back-to-back weeks, the Jayhawks have gone to a very sluggish start on this defensive side of the ball. We saw it last week against Ohio, where they gave up quick 11 points, putting them in a hole early. We saw it 2 weeks ago against Central Michigan, where they gave up 24 points in the second quarter, putting them down 24-6 in the half. Now, those might be scary numbers, but it's not a reason to give up on KU football. David Beatty has a plan. The team believes in it. The coaches believe in it. And it's a very young team. Last week, if you look at the players that went to Ohio, 53% of them were freshmen and sophomore. Now, it's still a very young team. They have a lot to grow on. And the future still looks bright, even though they've gone off to a 1-2 start on the season. And as for soccer, the team starts conference play this week as they travel to the Lone Star State to take on TCU at 6 and Texas Tech Sunday at 1. For volleyball, after going 2-1 last week in the Santa Clara San Jose State Invitational, where the Jayhawks suffered their first loss of the season, the volleyball team traveled to the Little Apple this weekend, where they take on K-State in a good old-fashioned Sunflower Showdown. K-State leads the all-time series 63-50-1. As for next week, late night at the Fog, it's the 33rd annual late night, and the number 2 overall recruit Zion Williams will be in appearance. Let's put on a good show for him.
In NFL news, the Chiefs are getting off to a bit of a hot start, getting their second victory of the season as they defeated former Chiefs offensive coordinator Doug Peterson and his Philadelphia Eagles by a score of 27-20. My takeaways for the game last week are Kareem Hunt. He looks like he is the real deal.
5 touchdowns in 2 weeks.
Right. He followed up his Week 1 performance with a Week 2 performance that included 13 carries for 81 yards, 2 scores, and one of them was a 53-yard rush that he took to the house. Travis Kelce also looked very, very good. He is Alex Smith's guy. He was targeted 10 times. He hauled in 8 of them for 103 yards. And he also had a touchdown, which was the highlight of the game. He caught the shovel pass from Smith from the 15, and he barreled over 3 guys and leaped into the end zone from the 5-yard line, taking 2 more guys with him, okay? He also, the Chiefs defense looked very good in my opinion. Even without safety Eric Berry, they forced the interception that Chris Jones caught. He also had 3 sacks and 4 tackles. The 2-0 start is a very nice way to boost the team's confidence, leading to their Week 3 matchup with divisional rival and newly relocated LA Chargers. The Chargers have a 2-0 record, but both games were decided by 3 points or less. But I still think the Chiefs are going to be 3-0 after this week. Melvin Gordon's banged up, but at the same time, Phillip Rivers is having a very nice year. He has a very Alex Smith-esque year. He is completing over 70% of his passes. And, you know, I'm pretty sure he's thrown like 5 touchdowns too already. And a fun fact from the game, Antonio Gates broke the touchdown record for tight ends, breaking Tony Gonzalez's record. But I think that's all that we have for sports today. Do you have anything else that you wanted to add?
Rock shock.
See
you later.
Yeah, we'll see you.